B-1 bomber in her lap.
Yeah, right on. Hey, we got to break into this and say hi to a big star, Donald Trump.
There he is.
Good morning, fellas.
Donald Trump.
How are you?
Very good.
What's new, sir?
Yeah.
Very little.
Haven't seen you in the news lately. You really gotta do something to get your name back out there.
It's a very, very low-key week.
It certainly is.
Is it finally calming down?
Well, I hope so. It would be nice if it would calm down. I've been trying not to do any interviews. I've been trying to keep it low-key, but, you know, when somebody says something, like you guys, I respond, and I guess I respond in somewhat of an inflammatory way, but people say things and you respond.
You know what I like? Someone hits you with a pea shooter, you fire a howitzer back at him.
You have to do it.
That's the only way you stay alive in this game.
When you deal with scum, you have to treat them like scum. So it's one of those things.
Did you ever previously have a problem with her, or was it like right off the bat you saw what she was doing, kind of goofing on you?
Yeah, I mean, the Miss USA thing was really sort of a ruse by her. I've known her for a long time, and you know, she knows that I understand her well. She knows I know she's not very bright, and I'd let it be known also. So, I mean, there's been a little bit of a history.
Didn't she go to one of your weddings?
Can you believe that one?
She did, right? I thought so.
It wasn't on my behalf.
You didn't invite her personally?
No, I did. It wasn't from me.
Did she insist on ordering the fish?
She ate plenty.
She ate plenty. Jeez. You know you gave him great ratings, right?
No, I gave him great ratings, but you know what? That'll end immediately after we're finished. You know, her ratings tanked with her first show. You know why? You can't take her in large doses. She'll do fine.
It's the only way you can take her, Donald.
No, yeah, unfortunately. But what will happen is when I'm finished with this, her ratings will tank like you've never seen before.
Now, the whole Barbara thing, we're getting conflicting reports here whether you guys were friends, because now she came out in defense of Rosie, yet you're saying that behind the scenes she's saying, oh, my God, I can't take working with this woman. It's hard. You know, I like to believe the Donald here, but how do we know this is what's actually happening?
She called me. I mean, she called me from her vacation after Rosie went into her rant and rave, and she called me. No, Barbara and I were friends, and I understood why Barbara defended Rosie because she really had to. I fully understood that. But
yeah, business move.
In all fairness to Barbara, you know, she's being pushed around like a puppet. It's a terrible way to end her career, in my opinion. She's being pushed around by this animal, and it's too bad that she has to end her career that way.
Yeah, you think Rosie's going to last there, or she's going to?
No, she'll self-destruct. She always self-destructs.
Well, they're talking that she might have her own show soon.
And that won't do well. It'll start off good, and then it'll fade fast.
Yeah, and you heard, of course, that Madonna is now sticking up for Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, in a very lukewarm way. I watched that. I thought that was fine. I mean, they've been friends over the years.
What started the whole thing was, you know, you gave this girl another shot, and for some reason...
Which, by the way, I thought was brilliant.
Right.
Because it usually...
Second chance, as the expression
well,
goes.
because no one ever gets a second chance, you know.
Rosie would have given her a second chance, I guarantee you that.
Oh, I'm sure. Believe me.
In a different sense.
Yeah.
But she would have given her many, many chances, as many as she could.
Oh, man.
But I gave her a second chance, and, you know, Rosie went nuts over the second chance. But basically, Rosie understands that I know her, and Rosie went more nuts over me than she did over her.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things. It's okay.
I think, the second chance thing was great. That girl's beautiful.
Beautiful. By the way, you talk about a girl. See, and, you know, Rosie didn't like the fact that the people said, why is it such a big story? You know, it's become the #1 story by far on the Internet. And I said, well, you have beauty and you have the beast. And Rosie went nuts. But Rosie is a beast. You know, you look at her. People said, oh, you shouldn't say that she's this or that. I said, take a look. Am I lying? And they're going, what?
You know, it's the honesty, whether people agree with you or not. No one is as blatantly honest as you are when it comes to show business. Everyone keeps their mouth shut. They try to be polite and nice and not burn any bridges or anything like that. So that's why people are so captivated by this. You are coming out and saying things that, you know, a lot of people have thought of.
Rosie, you have to understand, when you deal with scum, you know, Rosie's a liar. Rosie said I went bankrupt. I never went bankrupt. Rosie said, oh, she talks about my hair. I'm not allowed to say she looks like a slob, and yet she can talk about my hair. So some people said, oh, Donald, you've been so personal. I said, what about her? I mean, look at the way she is. So, you know, it's sort of interesting. Actually, I was on the Today Show the other day, and Meredith Vieira said, Donald, did you call her crude? I said, no, I called her a degenerate.
Yeah.
I called her a slob.
Yeah, crude.
I called her lots of other things. But crude, that was too nice a word.
I think what was brilliant also was during your opening salvo, how you threatened to take away her girlfriend.
Yeah, no, I think it would be very easy. Honestly, if I weren't married, I'd have no trouble. But because of the fact that I'm married, I have many friends that would be capable of taking her girlfriend away, in my opinion, very quickly.
Donald knows how to fight, like take it down to street level, which is nice. You see a businessman like you, usually these things are behind closed doors. They're handled by lawyers. To see you, a very successful businessman over the years, just take the gloves off, it was refreshing, and I think that's why it's getting so much coverage.
Well, I think it's right, because everyone wants to be politically correct. You watch these politicians, and, they if they see a girl who's 21 years old, they call her a woman, and because they would hate like hell to call her a girl, because that would be terrible, and they'll be criticized. I mean, give me a break. So, you see all these politically correct people, and you know what? People are tired of it. People want to hear the talk. And, just so you understand, I went to the #1 school in the country, the Wharton School of Finance. I was a great student and all that stuff. So there's plenty of brain power there. But this whole thing with Rosie, sometimes you have to, when you're dealing in the gutter, you have to get in the gutter.
Yeah, it's really refreshing. And some advice from us, I hope you don't stop anytime soon. Now you should say something bad about Madonna and let other people pile on, and you should just take on all of Hollywood.
Start punching people in your casinos.
Funny thing. I know, fellas, and a lot of people, you guys all want me to do that. My problem is I'm building buildings all over the place, It's hard when you're building buildings, right? But, I have to devote a little time to that. But because I could be all day long. I mean, I've been asked to do interviews by the thousands, literally, everybody. And it's really funny. Again, I go on the Today Show, and Meredith asks me about Rosie.
Yeah.
Then she asks, you probably saw this, it's very famous now. And then she goes, another Rosie question.
Yeah.
Then after 2 questions, this is how she starts the interview. I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
And then she goes, why do you always talk about Rosie? I said, because you ask me questions.
Because you just ask questions.
And then she goes, of course I'm asking you questions, Donald. It's the most popular story in the whole country, maybe the world. And she's telling me this, but she says, why do you talk about Rosie?
Yeah.
Donald, I just want to give you a heads up and a little warning. There's a rumor going around that Rosie is threatening to take your beautiful girlfriend, grab her, and climb the Trump Tower and swat it by planes.
Well.
So be careful of that one.
Let me tell you, anything Rosie does.
Yeah, Anthony just had an awful line, and you just didn't even acknowledge it,
That's
Donald.
okay.
I mean, Jesus.
I did myself, but...
First of all, he's married. Hey, Donald, something that was really interesting, I watch Regis every once in a while, and you were on there right in the middle of this controversy.
Right.
And they didn't talk about it whatsoever. What was that about?
On Regis?
Yeah.
Because Regis is one of the nicest human beings in the world, and he didn't want to mix it up and that stuff. It's not his kind of a show.
Yeah.
His show is based on nice.
Right. He's not shocking.
He's a sweet guy. He's a great friend of mine. And you're right. It was very interesting. A number of people have brought that up.
Because right now everyone's really into it, so of course they see that Donald Trump's going to be on Regis and Kelly.
Well,
they're all tuning in to see what you're going to say there.
Fellas, I actually ask people, don't talk about Rosie. Let's talk about other things. We have The Apprentice going on Sunday night. There was another thing. She said The Apprentice, it did badly. The Apprentice was the #1 show in that time slot in 14 months.
Oh, boy.
And I have to listen to her say, The Apprentice tanked or something. The Apprentice, after 6 seasons, continues to do well. It's amazing. And this is the best season I think we've ever done, and everyone's seeing it. So it's on, by the way, it happens to be on Sunday at 9 o'clock, but now we'll get back to the slob.
You know what I like about the new Apprentice? What's the deal with some living in tents and some living in luxury? Well,
that's right. I mean, we have the losing team lives in a tent, and it's really disgusting after a few nights because it starts to rain. And, I mean, they're living literally in mud. And the winning team lives in this gorgeous mansion. And it gives you a lot of incentive to win.
Hell yeah. Well, I'd rather live in the mansion. And it's in California for the first time?
In California, that's correct.
Why'd you decide to do that?
Well, it was a decision because we've done 5 from New York, and, it had done really well and continues to do really well, but it was time to make a change. And next time we may go to Miami or Las Vegas or someplace else, so we're going to move it around a little bit.
Hey, Donald, you have any desire to get on the phone with a listener that thinks your comments to Rosie are terrible?
Not particularly.
It's Mallory, though, from Florida.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. We'll put her on.
All right. Mallory.
Hi.
This is a very special thing. We don't allow our listeners to talk to Mr. Trump, but you're on the phone with Donald Trump.
Hello, Donald Trump. How are you?
Hello, Mallory.
How are you?
Make it fast, Mallory. He's a very busy man. He's losing money as he sits on the phone here.
Okay, I just want to let you know that I just don't like your comments to Rosie. I mean, yeah, you know, sometimes your comparison to being a fat slob and then bad hair, you know, come on.
That's all you got?
I fully understand what you're saying, and there are some people that don't like the level of my comments, but...
And I don't mean to be rude. I think you're really rich. You know,
Natalie, when you deal with garbage, you have to deal like garbage sometimes. And, you know, it's one of those
mincing words.
I have, Natalie. And you know, I think you're a very nice woman, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the nice tone of your question. Thank you.
Hey, Donald, you've been all over the news lately. There was another story that I'm loving, but they're not talking about it anymore because of the Rosie O'Donnell thing, but the huge flag you're flying down there in Florida.
That's right. I put up a flag in Palm Beach, Florida, at my club called the Mar-a-Lago Club, and the town of Palm Beach wants me to rip down the flag.
And it's a massive flag, and it's too high or something like that?
But it's the same size as in front of, you know, very big buildings in Washington, D.C., and Mar-a-Lago's bigger than many of them. And
so he's showing his patriotism, and the town's saying, no, you got to take that flag down.
They want me to rip down the American flag. It's actually a huge story, and it's, you know, it's become a very big story. It's a very important story. And they want me to rip down the American flag, and I'm not doing it. And I actually sued them for $25 million, with all proceeds going to the returning Iraqi war soldiers.
Very good. Yeah. And they're fining you, what, like $250 a day or something ridiculous?
Well, they haven't started that yet, but they probably will. I think they're making a terrible mistake.
$250 a day. Ooh.
Yeah, $250 a day.
And what's great is, like, he's standing up to these people. Other people, most people would just fold, and Donald's like, screw you, I'm not taking it down ever. And they don't know what to do now. They're like, but you got to take it down.
Well, they told me you need permits to put up the American flag. I said, you don't need permits to put up the American flag.
Yo, since when? Oh, God,
and it's really become a very big, it's really become very big, so it's very interesting.
All right, any comments about Madonna?
No, I think she did.
Come on, Donald, I'm helping you out. Let's keep the story going.
No, she was respectful. She knows Rosie, and you know, between you and I, they had their own rift. Everybody has a rift with Rosie. She's an animal, but they had their own rift years ago. But she likens herself to a friend of Rosie, and she said, you know, I'm a friend of Rosie, but she said nothing bad about me. And by the way, if she did, I would attack her.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot you can attack her on.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Okay, fellas?
All right, don't let this story die anytime soon. It's a lot of fun.
You know
it's good to see. It's very refreshing.
Fellas, everyone says, let it die, and then there's 500 calls from you people saying, please, please, please go on.
We're vultures.
You know when it dies. When it dies is when people lose interest.
Yeah. Right.
But, you know, people, for whatever reason, they're fascinated. But I think because basically I've taken down a bully.
Well, yeah.
She's a bully. I mean, she's been a bully. She hurt Danny DeVito. She hurt Kelly Ripa. She hurt, remember Tom Selleck?
Tom Selleck was blindsided on her show, regardless of what your belief is in gun control.
He was blindsided. That was terrible.
Yeah, he was brought on as a guest of the show, and she proceeded to just lambaste him about his beliefs on the Second Amendment. And it's ridiculous.
He was so blindsided. I've never forgotten that. It was vicious. And she's a vicious person. And you have to treat them that way. I mean, it's just one of those things. We really have no choice, do we?
No.
All right.
I like it, though. I like the way you're standing up for this and
I like your
not
show.
Backing down.
Yeah, give the big plug for The Apprentice, Donald.
Okay, well, The Apprentice is on Sunday night at 9 o'clock. We have a very young, smart audience, and we do very well. And it's really a great show. I think it might be as good as number one, and that's saying something, because number one became the number one show on television.
Yep.
And we had a lot of fun last year getting the guys that were getting kicked off on our show. What's going on with that?
Well, if you want, we can give them to you again.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay, you be in touch with us.
All right, Donald.
Thanks, fellas. Great show.
Thank you, sir.
So long.
Donald Trump, everyone.
Because Donald, boy, he is just wrapped up in this Rosie thing.
I don't want to say anything because I have the same torso as Rosie.
Do you?
I look. Someone actually said that I look exactly like Rosie. Donald now. So I just want to keep my mouth shut before he attacked me.
He wasn't even scheduled to call today. Out of nowhere, I look down. It's Donald Trump. I'm like, you got to go to Donald Trump.
Got to.
He's vicious. I love it.
Oh, man.
Wow. Called her an animal.
An animal, a beast, garbage.
I just love that he's not being PC because that's what's been going on for a really long time in media, and it's so effing annoying.
You know when there's a problem, and usually it's through a publicist that says, no, there's no problem. There was something, a word was said, but that was a misunderstanding. And then you get Donald. She's just an animal. She's a pig. She's this. She's that. A loudmouth, a bully,
smells like garbage.
Yeah. That'll steal her girlfriend if I wasn't married.
He wants to say some derogatory things about her sex.
Yeah, well, I think he did a couple of he alluded to the
softball catcher.
The best though, I forgot to tell him this. No one's going to want to talk to him anymore though. Because obviously Barbara Walters said all that stuff in confidence. She can't stand Rosie and all that. Obviously, well, it's obvious to me. Mm-hmm. I wasn't part of the phone call that, Barbara Walters was trashing Rosie to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump decided to use that card. And then Barbara Walters had to make believe she never had that conversation.
She never said that. And then she had to come out on The View and kind of support Rosie. But from what I hear, there was a big blowout in the makeup room between Rosie
Well, they talked about that yesterday on The View, and they kind of high-fived and said, all's good in our world.
But there was a problem.
Yeah.
Rosie got pissed that during the vacation, Barbara didn't call her and was on the news keeping this whole thing going. And not really defending her, and they had a big blowout.
Well, Rosie makes The View very, very interesting. Barbara Walters is a waste.
Yeah.
She really is. Whether you love her or hate her, Rosie's making that show, watchable.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, she is.
It's just kind of a lot of fun.
I like this whole thing.
I
just love watching people tear each other apart.
Yeah.
It's fun.
All right, we're going to take a break.